What's up, Facebook Live? We have a very special guest with us today. As you're tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know 3 things you're grateful for down there in the comment section. Sir, thank you for taking the time to come and hang out.
Always a privilege.
Always
man.
a pleasure.
Yeah, always.
Stuart, nice to see you, sir. We should have people popping on from all over the world here.
Yes.
And as they jump on, there's so many things that I admire about you in what you do and how you do it with your family, with your work, with your ministry, with what you do in the schools. But I'd love, first off, this is, in case you're not familiar, this is Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher. E.T.
Phone home.
He is someone, if you take a moment after watching this and you Google him, you will find endless amounts of information of things that'll inspire you, things that'll ignite you, things that'll move you. One of my favorite things that I've learned in observation is the consistency in which you bring great messages to people. I think, is it Thank God It's Monday?
Yes.
Every Monday.
TGIM
coming through.
Yeah.
And so for everyone here, we talk a lot about making their lives better, finding ways to improve. We're always coming at it from different angles. And what I'd love to do today is share, first, maybe a bit about your story, just for new people who might not know. And then I'd love to share insights of what right now in 2018, we talked about having a vision, a few weeks ago. We had a friend of ours who's I think a 12-time world triathlon champion.
Wow, 12 times.
Yeah, what's amazing, yeah. She didn't know how to swim when she started.
Wow.
She just saw how excited people were at the race, and she's like, I want to feel that way. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to figure this out.
Wow.
And she talked about what it was to overcome the thought process. Holy mackerel, we're back.
We're back. Dun, 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 dun. It's going to be a great episode. It's going to be a great episode. This is what happens when it's a great episode.
That's true. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
So let's see. We were talking about, we had a guest who was a 13-time world. Oh, we're back again. This will hold strong, I promise.
Yes.
If by chance the feed drops out, we will keep going and keep recording.
Yes.
So if by chance it falls out, wait maybe an hour, and this will be right back on to watch the whole thing start to finish. But stay with us. If it goes off for a second, we're not going to stop. We will stay with this whole thing. So stick with us here. So we had her, she talked about she didn't even know how to swim when she first started, but she loved the feeling, and that's what she was going after.
Unbelievable.
And so it's amazing when you find someone who wants something bad enough and they're willing to go after it.
Yeah.
It's amazing what happens.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know, to come back just a little bit, let's start with, for you, looking at all these amazing people who, it's 2018, they've set a goal, they've got their vision, they're all hyped up and excited, and it's halfway through the first month. Where do they really need to go mentally and emotionally to actually have a chance at getting to the result they want at the end of the year?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, and this may surprise people coming from ET. You know what I'm saying? Like, ET is when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, and I am, but that's desire. But when you start really going after trying to tackle something massive, like losing 100 pounds, you have to be careful. Like this is a journey. Like this is not a destination. Like this is a journey. You want to get out of poverty, whatever it is you're trying to do, open up your business. I don't know, but it's massive. It's colossal. It's gigantic. So what we have to do is that we really have to be careful of how much energy we give in the first quarter, because it's 4 quarters. And I think that's what a lot of people do wrong. Look, you haven't exercised in years, months, and you go straight to the gym and you're trying to put in 10 miles or 6 miles or do 30 minutes. Let me just be honest with you. Here's my deal. You want to lose 100 pounds? Go walk to the mailbox the first day. I'm just saying, go hit the mailbox strong. The next day, give me 2 mailbox journeys. Hit the mailbox, come back. The third day, let's go to the end of the block, right, and come back. And I'm not being funny. I'm being serious. We put too much energy in the beginning till we get to a point. And you have to understand, I used to run a quarter when I was the 400 when I was in high school, and I remember the first time I ran 400, I ran it like 100, and I tapped out real quick. My coach was like, "That's not how you do it." Now it is. You were right. You did see a group of people running real fast with the 400. You did. They were going real fast, but they didn't exert all of their energy. It was still a fast pace. So I'm saying to you guys, the thing that I think you need to be careful of, and I've been saying it all year, is small steps, great distances. Small steps, great distances. So I'm going to walk 5 million steps this year, right? 5 million steps this year. But I promise you, I think last week I probably did 7,000 miles one day, which is no more than maybe 2 miles, right? Then I came back the next day and I probably did 30,000. My wife wanted to go shopping, so I was able to put in 10 miles. Like, I'm being honest. My wife can shop. And so from start to finish, we walked to the mall. We walked around the mall. We went to the food court because I was tapping out. We walked back to the hotel. That day, literally, I put in 10 miles just walking. That day, I didn't run any. So I would just say small steps. Pace yourself. Look at the entire amount of energy, effort, how much time that you'll have to put into that thing in order to make it happen. One quick story. So, we did this 100-day challenge in September that ran to Christmas. And I decided that, hey, I work in California, Texas, whatever, and I want to learn Spanish. I work with, a lot of Latina and Latino students, so I want to learn the language. And a friend of mine was like, "Eric, when can we expect you to speak Spanish?" I was like, "No time soon." What do you think? Like, it takes a child who's not saying anything, 2 years, everybody's speaking whatever language they're speaking. This kid doesn't say anything. Finally, they say daddy or mommy. They don't put a full sentence together for at least 2 years. So I'm like, don't look for me to do when you want to succeed in Spanish, you want to breathe in Espanol anytime soon. So todo pronto. You know what I'm saying? So I told myself, Eric, yes, you will speak Spanish. At some point, you will speak Spanish, but pace yourself. So I'll say to all of you, yeah, we can get it done, but make sure you pace yourself.
I think there's a very home story with that's fascinating, that you bring that up. My mom, she was struggling with her health. She has diabetes. She just wasn't inspired to work out all the time. A long time ago she was, for spurts, but then she hit a streak where she wasn't, and it got a point where it got really bad. Like, she was having trouble walking and stuff like that. So I flew out to talk with her, and I decided to hook her up with some gear. Like, we got her a Fitbit, which she got excited about because she could see her steps.
Yes.
And what was interesting, I invited her to a group, to the community of like 10 of us. And in this group, though, there's this one lady who's got a 9-to-5 job that does, how many steps a day does she do? She does like 10 miles. Like 20, no, more than that. Right? She does like 30,000 steps a day or something. Yeah. And she has a 9-to-5 job at a desk. Yeah.
Wow.
And so we tease her. We're like, I bet you tie this to your dog and you play fetch at the end of the day all night. She's like, no, I do like a 5-mile walk in the morning. I walk at lunch. I do a 5-mile, 10-mile walk at night with my dog. And she's very active. Wow. We're like, wow. So we're always trying to, her name's Emily. Okay. So we're always trying to beat Emily. So I invited my mom as inspiration to the group. So my mom decided, after not heavily working out at all, like when we got there, we see how many steps she could do, and she did 300 steps in a day. Wow. And it was getting to the bathroom and back and just moving.
Right. 300 is not.
So she decided to try to beat Emily the next week. And so Emily's doing 30,000 steps a day. My mom was moving 300 steps a day. And so mom got on her Pilates machine and attempted to do 20,000 steps a day. Wow. And I think she did something like 50 miles or 30 miles the first week and 50 miles the next week. I was like, dang. Wow. And what's wild, though, is there's truth. And this isn't the fun part. I was wildly impressed of how much she did, how quickly. The challenge is she took herself out of the game. She ended up having a stroke at the end of 50 miles in the second week. Wow. And I was like, oh my gosh, we were doing so good. We were doing all the right things in all the right way. We were just doing what you were talking about. Too much too soon.
Too much too soon.
Like, she was doing 300 steps a day. She had no business trying to do 50 miles in a week. That's amazing.
Oh, it is.
But if she would have done 5 miles in a week, she could have kept going. And
which would have been just as impressive as Emily
anything
for where she was.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other problem we have. Accountability is great, but I realized that, when I was a child, math was my thing.
Wow.
And when I learned how to read, it was a struggle for me. The whole reading, writing thing was a struggle. But when I learned to read, it was whole words. And I understand that. It wasn't phonetics. So phonetically, I always had a challenge. So when I approached Spanish, I approached it saying, it could take somebody a year. It could take somebody a year and a half. But I want you, as powerful as you are in other areas and other arenas, I want you to be honest, not a crutch. I'm not looking for a crutch. I'm not looking for sympathy, but being transparent with myself and saying, yo, you're learning a language. Phonetics is a challenge. You're going to bring that challenge over to this art. But like everything else, you will eventually nail it. But don't put yourself on somebody else's timetable. Don't let other people say, well, you've been studying for 3 months. You can't do X. No, I can't. And I don't feel bad about the fact I can't, because I've given myself 2 years. And by the end of those 2 years, and here's the thing, I wasn't speaking a second language anyway. So if it takes 4 years, 5 years, who cares? Like, I wasn't doing it anyway. So in another 5 years that we would hope would pass anyway, what I will be able to say in those 5 years, now I have it. And now I'm able to communicate effectively with the people that I work with. So that is major. And I don't know the steps for you to take. Like, I'm not sure for you, but I do know you need to make sure when you sit down, you're not so caught up into this, whatever the goal is, that you're really not looking at what are the steps and what will it take for me actually not only to accomplish it, but like you said, how do I sustain the success?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the other piece that happens too, and there's inspiration in community, as long as you leave out the comparison.
Absolutely.
So instead of looking at someone like an Emily who's doing 50,000
numbers,
steps, like she's putting it on the board.
Numbers.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like she blows us away.
Right.
I'm like, I can't get to the gym enough to keep up with this lady.
Right. You'd have to walk all day to do that.
Yeah. I got a treadmill desk just to try to
catch
it.
Yeah, that's smart. It's smart, man.
But the concept of, instead of looking at the positive comparison as inspiration of like, wow, that's possible, I can get there, without the negative piece of, I feel bad if I don't. Yeah. It's like, no, I know that's possible, so I'm going to keep grinding for it, but I'm going to let go of the judgment on myself and be bad on myself, or do too much too soon and take myself out of the game.
Yeah, crash and burn. So here we are in February, and you're already out of the race, or March, and you're already out of the race. Yep. So for me, I think I started this journey 3 years ago. The guys were doing push-ups. They were a lot younger than me, so I was like, nope, I'm not really interested in that. I just want to do push-ups every day. And then I got to a place, believe it or not, in my time, in my pace, where I was able to do 100 push-ups straight with no problems. So I eventually surpassed these young guys. And now when, they know when we go on an event, I'm just like, they'll challenge me, some new guy, and I'm just like, oh, okay. But I took my time. I got there. Then we started walking. I would probably walk a mile or two a day. The mile or two walk turned into 2 or 3 miles running, turned into 4 miles running, 10 miles walking. So again, small steps, great distances. And so you're looking at people like, yo, you're doing Emily numbers now. But when I started 3 years ago, I wasn't doing Emily's numbers. But now every day, a little cardio, a little resistance. Yep. A little cardio, a little resistance. And now we're stacking it up, and it's a little more cardio and a little bit more resistance.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. There's a really cool story. I think Nike made a commercial with her, Sister Madonna Bruder. She's 90. No,
oh, yeah, I saw that. 80. Was that the swimming?
Yeah. She does a triathlon.
Yes.
She's at 84 years old, completing the Ironman still. But she didn't start till she was in her 60s.
Wow.
But that is exactly what you said. Her first day of training was walking the block. She walked to the end and back. Like, day one, I'm done.
Unbelievable.
But she stacked it. She did over 100 marathons in her 70s. It's incredible.
Unbelievable.
It's incredible.
So that means we're going to have to do more triathlon. That's not what it means. That's not what it means, guys.
I love that. I love what you're saying there. So to bring that back, I'd ask everyone who's going to be watching and watching now, that what's the thing, if you were going to throw it in the comment section, what is the one thing you could be doing consistently that would stack up if we think of compound interest. So it would stack up over the next 12 months to get you the 10x or fairy tale result, or the optimum result you're looking for at the end of the year. What's the one little thing you could do every day that if you committed to doing that one thing, it's going to stack and compile in your favor over the year? That'd be a great question. The other thing, I want to take just a quick second for this point. We're going to be giving away 10, all five, 10, copies of, I forget which level it was called.
Survive. The Survive level. Yep. Breathe
which
University.
is part of Breathe University.
Yep.
Is it breatheuniversity.com?
Yes, breatheuniversity.com.
So breatheuniversity.com. We're going to give away 10 Survive memberships, which is an entry-level membership. And how you can earn them is if you click the share button on this video at some point throughout it or after you're done watching it. I'm going to comb through and I will pick 10 people that we're going to grab your name and email address and information, and we're going to send it on over, and we're going to get you into Breathe University. So click the share button at any point, and I will comb through in the next probably, I'll give it, let's say, 2-3 days. The next 2-3 days I'm going to comb through, and I'm just going to randomly pick 10 names, and we're going to go ahead and give you access to Breathe University at the survival level there.
That's it. I love it.
So I'm excited about that. Just a side commercial break, just so you know. So click the share button if you're loving this. Now, to come back to the topic, so they found their thing. They're taking small, consistent actions in the right direction. Now, inevitably, they're going to get knocked down. There's going to be an obstacle. There's going to be something that you're going. Everything seems to be working in your favor. And maybe they make it to June, July, August, September. Maybe they only make it to February. And something happens. And it's just life.
Yeah, listen to me, guys. This is why I say small steps. This is why I'm excited. Like, I get excited because I don't, like, go back and watch my stuff for years. I don't sell you anything that is not going to benefit you. Like, everything I'm telling you is from the heart. And I promise you, if you do it, nothing but success, right? So no, this is not fool's gold. So let's go back. So let's just say you made it to April and you were grinding. You got up to 4 miles walking, 4 miles running, whatever it is you do, right? When you get knocked down, let's just say, for instance, you hurt your knee, right? Tweak your knee a little bit. We can go back to the beginning without quitting. We can go back to that mailbox. We right back at the mailbox, right? We just repeat the cycle. We go back to the mailbox. The next day we go back to the mailbox. Then we go to the block, and then we come back. And watch what happens. When you get healed, muscle memory, your body will not forget where you were. Your body will only forget where you were if you completely stop. If you do not completely stop, the body will remember where you were, and it'll pick back up. So that's why I'm saying we start with small steps. So in case something happens, we can push, repeat, and start all over again. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Even if you don't get hurt, you probably do need to, at some point, when you find yourself getting to 4 or 5 miles, you need to stop and push, repeat again, right? Because what happens is, if you have a car, even though the engine can give you, 140 miles per hour, here's the challenge. If you run that engine at 140 for 8 hours, you might cause damage. So while it can go 160, it's not meant to go 160 for 8 straight hours. You hear what I'm saying? So even if you make it to the top, at some point with the triathlon, she had to stop. Once the triathlon was over, she had to stop. She had to rest and repeat. So that's why I'm saying, do yourself a favor, small steps, great distances, because the days I don't get Emily numbers, the days I don't hit the 30,000, guess what happens? I hit 8,000. And then the next day when I have to make up for it, because I try to do 2 15,000s and 5 20,000. That's my goal. So when I do 7,000, you know what it means? It means that I'm 8,000 short. So the next day, instead of doing 20, I can do 24, and I've got another 4,000. But I can pull on that 8 that I did or that 10 that I did. Even though I didn't reach my mark, I still got a lot closer, right? So that's why I'm telling you small steps. So if something happens, we don't have to completely stop. We can start all over again real slow and give ourselves time to let that muscle heal itself, and then boom, get right back at it.
Yep. I love that. Yep. I love that. There's, I think, to take this into another category, so that there's working out the small, consistent steps. A lot of people, when they start a business, they try to. I mean, everyone wants to be Bill Gates overnight.
Yeah. Which Bill Gates didn't do.
I haven't met a person that doesn't want to become the next Mark Zuckerberg, or that concept of everyone wants to already be there
at the top. Absolutely. So let me be honest. So for me, again, the beauty in starting small, right? So let's just say we talked earlier about you're going to take a fall. Absolutely. But when you take that fall, the reason why you can actually get back up again without ever thinking, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, this isn't for me, what you do is you get up and say, I've been here before. I got a GED. You know what? I got a GED. Before the PhD, I got a GED. So when I started Spanish, it wasn't the PhD that gave me the strength to humiliate myself, because that's what's happening when you're learning something new. I'm accustomed when I'm speaking to being one of the best of the best. When I say I'm going to learn a new language, I'm starting over like a baby. So I was just at the school earlier, did un poco español, started with a little hablas, just a little conversation, and then they kept going, and I knew at some point I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to understand. I'm not going to understand, and I'm going to look stupid because I started, and it was like, oh, okay, well, he's very, very limited. But it doesn't bother me because it took me 12 years to get a 4-year degree. So I'm reflecting on, I've been here before. I've fallen before, and I know what happens when you fall. If you get back up, you eventually get the 4-year. If you get back up, they pay for you to go to Michigan State and get a master's. They pay. Coach Izzo and Coach D'Antonio both blessed me financially to finish school because I worked with the program. That was all a part of the process. So it's not the PhD that makes me go, I can learn Spanish. It's the GED. It's being homeless. It's taking 12 years to get a 4-year degree that says, I know what failure is. I've experienced it before. It is not meant to break me. It is not meant to give me an early retirement. It is only meant to weed out some of the, bad habits I have, or stinking thinking that I have, or not approaching the process correctly. It's only meant to weed all that stuff out. And if I get back up and learn the lessons, then I move forward. I am that much closer to Emily numbers, not only in walking, but even in the industry that I'm in now, because I'm still growing. I love social media and what I'm doing on social media, but I'm still growing in this arena. I have not gotten anywhere close to where I want to get to. But again, it is those failures that make me say, I can do this. And for some people who only experience success, when they get knocked down the first time, it is devastating because they have no relationship with failure. Yeah. They've never tasted it before. Yep. They've run away from it. They don't desire it. But when they get hit, it's so devastating. And for me, I bounce back so easy because I'm familiar with it. I've spent time with failure. Me and her have a great relationship, and I learn the lessons and move forward.
I love that. I think two things. One, I saw a video recently. I forget who it was, but he was talking about 3 steps with failure. He said, fail early,
yes,
fail often,
yes,
and fail forward.
Yeah.
And he says, failure is the greatest thing to help you make progress. Yeah. When you go to the gym, the purpose of going to the gym is to fail. You're finding the point in which you cannot go past and allowing that to be a new metric that you can work through. Yeah. And so fail often, see where you can fail. Yeah. He said, fail, what did he say? What were the 3?
Also fail often, early, often, and forward.
Yeah. So fail early, so quickly, quickly find where the edge is.
January.
Fail often,
January.
Be willing to go fall over again, and then fail forward. When you fail forward, learn from it, keep moving. I think what's interesting about that, the concept, giving another context category to this, so in business to do that, in education to do that, in relationship.
Oh, come on.
It's something when we first got together, I listened for this as a trait I was looking for in a human being to spend life with. Do they expect that we're going to have rough bumps?
Yeah.
And people talk about, you don't want to manifest bad stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah, but it's coming.
It's going to be there.
It's coming. Yeah.
I want someone who knows we're going to have rough times. Yeah. We're probably going to make money. We're probably going to lose a bunch.
Absolutely.
We're probably going to do something that we're like, hey, we did it. We're probably going to do something we're like, why did
we
do
did it.
that? and that's part of it. And if you find someone who enjoys, and it's such a weird thing to say,
but it's real though.
But enjoys the hard parts. Like when it gets hard, they're like, oh, this is it. Like now it gets exciting. And it doesn't mean that they have to create it all the time in their life. They're comfortable with the good stuff too, but they thrive in the tough stuff. And when you find someone in a relationship who has that philosophy up here or in here, it's amazing.
It is.
Because nothing can throw you off. And life will throw you curveballs. Like it'll get you.
No. It's like saying you're gonna play 9 innings of baseball and you're not gonna strike out. There's not gonna be any outs. Like it's not. And so here and I just want to go back because you said something powerful, and I'm imagining the people who are watching are saying, I already knew that. Fail often. Like I want you to hear. I want you to unpack what he just said. Okay, so what side are you on the fail often? Sounds cute. It's a great cliche, great principle, right? But what side are you on? Are you on the, fail often, but you don't take risks because you don't want to fail? You don't take risks because you don't want to be vulnerable? You don't like, I don't want to call it failure, but you don't like failure because it doesn't make you look good? Here's the deal. Like I tell my staff all the time, like, yo, put a video out. People put the video out. And somebody might call me and say, the video didn't blow up. Do you think every single video what kind of egotistic person are you? Do you think every video that we put out is going to, no, and this is a great video, but you said you made a mistake. Put it out. Put it out. I don't need to be seen as a perfect person, that I don't mispronounce words or spell words wrong or don't say things wrong. Like, don't make me seem perfect because I don't want the people who are following me to think that they have to be perfect to be. So for me, I think a lot of us don't fail early. We hear it, but we don't fail early because we want to be seen as number one. We want to be seen on top. We want to be seen as we never make a mistake. We do everything right. We are uncomfortable with that. I was embarrassed today, like literally trying to learn this language. I was embarrassed when we were going back and forth and I had to stop, but she was able to, she apparently English was not her first language, but she was able to do a little bit more English than I was. I was embarrassed, but I said to myself, you're going to be back, in 3 months. And next time I want you to go further. And then you're going to be back 3 months after that. I want you to go further. So I'm just saying to those of you who are saying, I know to fail early. No. I know you know. I know it's here. Is it here? I know it's here. I know you know it. But are you putting yourself in a position where one of the top speakers in the world is willing to be embarrassed? I never have to try to act like I know Spanish. I can just be quiet, just do English, but I don't care that I don't look the part all the time, because if I always look the part, I will never grow. Yeah. But in the areas where I'm willing to be vulnerable, those are the areas that I'm going to grow and go to the next level.
There's power in that, and there's the ability as a father, as a mother, as a business owner, as a team member, the ability to, when someone throws something at you, what you just said, and you did it beautifully, which was, I don't know. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to find out with you, but I don't know. Yeah. And there's power in that. There's humbleness in that of being like, hey, that's just what's real. Yeah. I think to tie back in the business piece of what you've done, and then I want to talk about what you're doing in the schools, this is something I admire so much about you, because I see a lot of young people who want to jump into, I don't even know the right way to say it. They'll call it, it's basically being Instagram famous, but to be honest, they're like, well, what are you trying to do? They're like, well, I want to be a coach. I'm like, well, I've coached for 15 years now. Wow. And I started off getting paid $30 an hour. Like, I didn't make it to the top because, and people have a perception. I 15 years of doing this, and what's wild in doing it all those years, like there was humble pie the first 6 years, and I wasn't good. I was like a gold or platinum, gold, silver, bronze. I was like a silver coach. I was okay. Like I wasn't the best guy on the team. I was the guy that just kind of was learning the ropes and trying my best. And I've worked my way up. But what's interesting, a lot of people jump in, whether it's coaching, speaking, training, these type of things, And they're like, okay, so I'm going to put my first thing out there. I want to charge $1 bazillion for it. I want to be premium. I only work with the best. I mean, I know who I am. And it's all based on
I like that part too. That's the new thing with this generation is I know who I am. Yeah, I like that part. Yeah.
It's interesting. And so what's fascinating, though, I had a similar experience, but it's something I respect immensely. And I don't remember if you shared it to me personally or if I heard you share it somewhere, but it was talking about like when you, way back when you were speaking, you'd say, hey, here's how much it is. I'm going to go speak at this school. And I think it was like, I'll throw out random numbers, but let's say $500.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
you're like,
right.
I'm going to do it.
That's it.
And you would book a tour where you'd have a string of like, you're in New York, and then DC, and then Philly, and then like you work your way down the coast, and every single day you'd be at 2 or 3 schools, bam, 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 bam. And what happened was like you were on tour going city to city, school to school, school to school, school to school. And what was amazing is you were hammered, grinding. And then what happened was you didn't one day be like, I'm going to charge $100,000. What happened, someone called you when you were in the middle of a tour and was like, hey, we want you over here on the other side of the country. You're like, I'm grateful for that. I love that. I'm busy.
Can't do it.
I'm packed out. I can't get there. And they're like, but we'll pay you double. You're like, okay, well, let me check. Like, I might be able to get an early flight out and a late flight back.
It's real, man.
And so this concept and I'm trying to show them all the angles this works in, because this isn't like I'm a walk more. That's it. It's like this is what happens in your health. This is what happens in your relationships. This is what happens in your business. Is when you're willing to take that step method of inch by inch, moment by moment, building up. Eventually, it gets you to a place, and maybe you can tell the rest of the story. But it's amazing that it evolved from, if I could squeeze in one at a time each day.
Yeah, but you know what? It's the same. And I think that's what people get confused. It's like, what we do, believe it or not, it's the same. You coach, you speak, it's the same. I'll be honest, we probably did more back then than we're doing now, when you really think about it, But I think the difference is the consistency, that we didn't quit, we didn't give up. And people respect the fact that we didn't quit, that we didn't give up, that they called 4 years later, you were still coaching, that they called 10 years later, you were still coaching. And then what happens is the actual experience that we gain from what we're doing, we add to what we're doing, because we're doing the same thing, but now the context is richer, because now we're not saying what we read in a book. That's what I tell you all the time, like, yo, bro, this guy called me the other day, he's probably 20. He's 20, like, E, what you think? And I was like, what do I think about what? What do you think about the presentation I gave? I said, okay, let me ask you this before we keep going. Based on what I tell you, what are you hoping is going to come out of this conversation? That I'm going to be on the road with E.T. I said, oh, okay. You're going to be on the road with E.T.? Like, that's what you're 20. You're going to be on the road with E.T. He was like, yeah, you need somebody on the road. I said, okay. I said, let me say this to you. How old are you? See, he's 20. How do you think the people are that I speak to? Just give me an age. He said 29, 28, 29, 34. I said, absolutely. And what do you think a 29 or 30-year-old, what do you think they're going through? Probably married recently, may have children, homeowners, just got into business they don't really know. I said, wow, you're pretty smart. And what does a 20-year-old have to tell them? What are you going to say to somebody who's been married 4 years? You think they listen to me because I'm ET? No, I've been married 27 years, and they've only been married 4, so I have 20-something years of experience to give to them. You think a dude that just started his business talks to ET because he just want to talk to ET? No, he sees my numbers when they were, 25 people on Instagram, or whatever the numbers are now. Yep. So for me, we're doing the exact same thing because we did not quit, because we did not give up. The value of it is greater now. So the stuff I'm saying now, I was saying, the principles have not changed. All the greats, the principles have not changed. We're not about to say anything that has never been heard before, but it is our 10-year experience, 15-year experience, 20-year experience that's given us content to go along with those principles. Then I told the kid, I said, I'm going to be honest with you. It is apparent that you've been reading the greats. I could tell. The story you told, it's apparent that you've gone to some conferences on professional development or speaking. Yeah, it's apparent. but it's also apparent that you read to me a book I've already read. You said some stuff to me that a book I probably read 5 times and a story that I probably heard before you were born. So live a little longer, get through the rough patches, and then come back. And that's all I did. Hit the coast. Guess what we're doing now? The same coast. I mean to say, the coast hadn't changed. We're still hitting New York. Yeah. We're still doing DC. We're still doing Philly. The only difference is more people are coming, and guess what? We still don't have the 10,000, 20,000. We're still only doing 600, 700. So based on what I'm seeing other motivational speakers do, they packing out arenas. I got a long way to go, but am I eating? Absolutely. Am I able, because of social media, to charge way more? I remember having a conversation with Les Brown. He was like, yo, this is how much you should be charging. I'm like, okay, got it. And I finally gotten to that point, but are we doing? No. And so I would just say, guys, it is a process. The process doesn't change. Embrace the process. Trust the process. Get settled in with the process. Have fun with the process. Go through the struggle of the process. But just every day, process. And the product will take care of itself. The promises will take care of itself. The pricing will take care. Everything will take care of itself.
Real quick on that. What's interesting and what I respect immensely about what you did was it was never an ego price move. It was never a this is what I'm worth thing. It was never an attitude. It was purely based on demand. It was you're booked out every single day, twice a day this week, and someone's saying, hey, I know you're booked. Can we get you over here too? And you're like,
let's go.
I'd love to.
Yeah. If you can, what I'm saying?
If you can teleport me, I'm down.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, I think that's important right now at this moment in history, because so many of all age people are jumping online, they're creating things, and there's lots of people who tell them advice like, charge the big bucks, charge huge amounts, you're worth more than that, you should charge premium, don't put stuff out for everybody, charge only the best, only the top, only this, and it's ego and attitude and all this stuff that's being pumped into people versus the reality when you really want to grow and you want longevity, it's the concept of giving all that you can in what works right now, being cool with it. If that's what this transaction's worth, I'm down with that. And over time, I know if I keep delivering, if I stay consistent, if I'm still in the game, if I give my heart and soul, and it really is valuable, it will grow over time.
Yeah, I want to tell a story before I forget. All right, because you said something. I just want to be honest, right? I've never shared this a day in my life. I have not, been fully transparent in terms of that process. But let me tell you what I did. When I got that call from the West Coast to leave the gigs that I was doing, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I could use the money. I could use the money. And I wanted to be over there. And what I would do, I'm just being transparent, right? And I'm not telling you to do this, but I would go to the director or whoever the individual was that contracted me out and just say, look, between you and me, man, I could really use that money. And I want to be at the West Coast, but I want to be here. Yeah. I'm putting it in your hands because you signed with me before. They only believe in me because you believed in me, because you brought me back every year. I'm being honest with you. I really want to go do that. I really would like to make more money, but I'm going to put that in. Is there a way that we can change this without disrupting our relationship? Can we change the date? And if this is a date that's set in stone, I will let them know I can't do it. But I just want to be honest with you and tell you I could really use that opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, I can't tell you that every single time they say yes. But when they could say yes, they said yes. And I told the other client, this is the position you put me in. This is what it's going to require. And I need you to make up for it and get me back here at this particular time. They've already spent their money. So I'm telling y'all, my grandma used to say, you reap what you sow, and my grandma used to say, you going up, but you're going to meet that same person coming back down. Right. And you got to take care of people. So I'm being transparent. I didn't just go, I'm not doing it. No, I made the phone call and said, look, I want to do it, but I signed not a contract, but a covenant. We're in covenant relationship. So I honor you and I honor you first. How do you want to do this? And like I said, there were times when people were like, hey, we can't change the date. We put out flyers. We paid for venues. We can't change it. Other times people said, we honor you. Let's do it 2 days after, go do your gig, and then come back. So yeah, you gotta respect and cherish this. And let me say this. There are individuals, the Jim Rohns, the Tony Robbins, the Zig Ziglar, the Les Brown. Like, there are a lot of people that put in work to create what we have right now. You know what I'm saying? Those of us, they put in work. They made some serious sacrifices. Their family, time, their reputation, their energy. Like, they gave up a lot for us to have this moment. Like, this moment we have right now, they put in the work for people to even think, that motivational speaking was even something that you should even entertain. You know what I'm saying? Like they were so good at what they did that people were like, because remember back in the day, people like motivational speaking, that's some old hoi polloi. Like, you get motivated today, what happens? Tomorrow, what do you do? So you got to honor this craft. And as you're doing it, you have to respect the people that did it before you, and you have to respect this craft. This is a craft. Just like basketball and football and doctors and engineers, like, this is a craft. Okay, and this is the only problem I have with the craft. My wife's a registered nurse. You just can't walk in the hospital like, I just feel like taking your vitals today. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling nurses right now. I'm feeling like a nurse. Like, come here real quick. Open and say, you can't do that. You got to go get certified. You got to pass the boards. There's certain courses, and people just think that you can just cut on a Facebook Live, and now all of a sudden, you are a motivator, inspirator, coach, an inspirer. It does not work like that. This is a craft, and you have to honor the craft. And that's why when I'm on the West Coast, I made a phone call like, I'm out, like, I'm here. Let's see if we can find a way to come together, because I honor what he does. I honor our friendship. I honor our relationship. Like, I honor this. So I don't want y'all to think we're on here just, spurting out some information because we don't have nothing else to do. Like, there was a lot that went into them preparing this, the whole nine, right? Money, time, energy, right? That they can't get back. So please respect this craft. And if you're playing, go find something else to play with. There are other things that you get, hobbies that you can get involved in. But playing with people's lives, that's not one of them. And we take what we do, like, we take this serious. It's more than money. We take this serious.
Yeah. It's the ability to help. I mean, people ask all the time, and I'll sit down with big business owners and people who run all kinds of hedge funds and banking and stuff, and they'll always ask, like, are you successful? I'll be like, yeah. And they'll be like, well, what do the numbers look like in this industry? And I'll say, well, I'll tell you the number one thing that matters most. The lady who was in the armed forces, who got shipped overseas, who had crazy PTSD, who came home, who had a gun in her mouth multiple times and was thinking of killing herself, and she read my book and decided to live, and they wrote me an email saying, hey, thanks for that. I think I won. Like, I won the one person that mattered that day.
Yeah, no question.
And so this industry and this concept it's I made it simple for our team. We need to reach the one person that needs the message most with the message they need today. As long as we can do that, we win. Challenge is we don't know where they are, who they are, what they're doing, or what they're up to. And so if you're watching this and you're that person who needed to hear this message, I hope it gets to you. If you're not here, I will find you on every other channel we have until we get to you.
He has a particular set of skills, all right? So he will get to you.
And the piece, real quick, something we talked about for people who just tuned in, we're going to give away 10 copies of the survival level of Breathe University. All you have to do if you want one of those is click the share button, and in the next probably 48, 72 hours, so 2-3 days, I'm going to comb through and just randomly pick someone who click share, and I'm going to email you or message you on Facebook here and let you know you got it, and then grab your information and put you in. So just a heads up, if you like what you're hearing, click that share button, and we appreciate it. Now in the schools, and how many years have you been doing this in the schools? Because this is the other fun part. And a lot of people, masses of people, got to know who you were in the past 10 years, YouTube, internet, like things started where, and a lot of people already knew who you were before that. I'm just saying it like a
no
5 million view level.
No question.
Like 5 million people were like, whoa, look at this guy. And so people like the term overnight success, and I always laugh because you don't know what they were doing for 20 years before that moment. But how many years have you been working in schools all throughout the world?
I started when I was 20 working in the schools. I'm 47.
Okay, so 27.
Easy. 27. Easy. And you know what's so funny, you know, is, you know, people say you're still in the schools. That's what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be in the schools, but I couldn't put that demand on a middle school or elementary school or most high schools. Like they aren't a hedge fund. You know, they're not a big corporation. So you don't necessarily, they don't come to school with a check. You know, so for me, the corporate stuff has been about get back to the babies. You know what I'm saying? Because if I can do corporate, which is why I'm on the West Coast now, it will put me in a position to get to the schools, you know, and they have a much smaller check, but they can't necessarily do the big hotels. They can't fly you in, you know, they can't do all of that. So we rely on the corporations to do it. So I had to get good enough, you know, my presentation had to be, you know, on a certain level where corporate companies would want to bring me in. And then now I get an opportunity. They bring me in on a Friday. I can come up on a Monday and I can go to the schools and do my thing. So I've been doing it for over 20 years, started with the GED, and I'm just like you. Why? Because one person said to me at 16, 17 years old, when I was homeless, and most people don't know it, but when you're homeless, you don't always smell the best. You know, your hair is not always kept. Like I was disheveled. And I was coming to a church, and he would tell me every week, greatness is in you. Greatness is in you, kid. And I don't care about homeless, high school dropout. I don't care about an estranged relationship. Greatness is in you. And as long as you are here, I'm going to push you. I'm going to push you to do. And he helped me to get my GED, he and his family, and my girlfriend at the time, who's been my wife for over 27 years now. And we went to college together, and she pushed me like, look, when I leave, if you don't leave and go to college with me, I'm breaking up with you. And listen to me, I am not a genius, but I know a woman with her caliber and as beautiful as she is, you don't go away for 4 years and come back single. You know, it just doesn't happen. So I was like, get your GED and you go follow her. And that's what we do every day. I'm looking for Eric Thomas every time I go in that school. I'm looking for Eric Thomas. And that mentor of mine, Dr. Philip Willis, said to me, the only thing I want you to do to show your gratitude is to do for as many people as I did for you. And so when I go in that school, they're like, you love me? What you mean you love me? You don't know me. No. I'm paying the debt back. I'm paying the debt back. And I do love you in the same way he loved me. So the schools for me is just about saving Eric Thomas. I just think, what if they would have kept me, you know, in abandoned buildings? What if I would have stayed a high school dropout? You know, what if I would have gone to prison and stayed, or, you know, died at an early age? Like the body of work that I have been blessed to give to the world would not exist. So every day when I go to a school, I'm looking at Eric Thomas. I know you ain't here, and I am going to find you, and I'm going to bring the best out of you. And that's our goal every time we go into a school.
That's cool. I love that. And so question, if someone's watching who's connected to a school, in a school, runs a school, is the superintendent of the district, can they reach out to you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the best way to do it, etinspires.com. That's everything, all access ET. But we actually have a schooldays.com. Cool. School Days, that's the name of our initiative, School Days. You can go there. Of course, there's some contact information, but also it's the era of electronics. So you go and just fill out a request form. And what I try to do is I put you on a request form, and if I come to your town for a corporate gig, and this is the bad part because that's most big cities. Sure. You know, there's not a lot of small towns that necessarily bring me in, but we'll put you on the list. If I'm coming to your town, I'll let you know. Or other than that, you can contract us out, bring us in. But we have a program for parents, a program for communities, a program for school leaders, teachers, students. I got a PhD. The number one school in the College of Education for the last 20 years and running. I said you can go look it up online. Michigan State University, the ed program, K through 12, as well as the HEL program, best in the country. That's where I was trained. So this isn't like we were talking about earlier. This isn't something that I just woke up one day and just said I want to do it. I made the sacrifice. I sat under some of the greatest educators in the world. I was trained. Who will? Spartans will. And so I mean, I take that serious. So when I'm in the schools, I'm in the schools because it is who will. Who will go and save our communities? Who will go back in our schools? Spartans will. And so I'm going back and doing what the school, commissioned us to do. So we are trained and we're ready to come to your school and help make a difference.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so etinspires.com and then schooldays.com.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to put both links in there. Wow, what a great conversation for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. It's always good hanging with this guy, y'all.
I'm excited. I'm grateful to have you. Again, we're going to give away 10 copies of Breathe University Survival Package. If you want a chance at winning one of those, you can buy it if you go to breatheuniversity.com.
Or you can wait to win it.
Or you can wait to win it. Either way.
48, 72 hours.
48, 72 hours. All you got to do is click share button. If you do it and you like what we're talking about, share with your community online. I'll pick a random person the next day or two and let you know the 10 people. So all 10 of you, all 10 that won. Any last thoughts or messages that we could leave with people who are still watching in, or people who are going to watch it in the future here?
Yeah, man, find out what makes you happy. One of the things I find out about this generation, or a lot of us, is we look at what somebody else is doing or driving or what they have, and we just can't be genuinely or purely happy for them and say, hey, that's yours. That's not, that's not something that I'm, what I'm saying? Like, just because he's doing it doesn't mean I have to do it. But I'm grateful, for the opportunities you have. And I say that because I'm enjoying life. And, people, who know me come to my house and was like, whoa, this your house? I'm like, yeah, this is my house. Like, we thought you lived in I thought you lived in a big home. And I'm like, no, I bought this house, before, we kind of, the company blew up. And my children grew up and left. And so it's 5 bedrooms. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's a lot of space for me and my wife. And I have friends who are not doing what I do professionally and who are not, where I am financially. And I go to their homes and enjoy their big homes and love it. And like, wow, this is gorgeous. What a blessing you have. But I don't leave saying, sweetheart, let's go build something to invite people over to show. I don't drive, and I don't think there's anything wrong with driving, European vehicles, but I'm from Detroit, so I drive a Cadillac. I choose to drive, an American car because that's how we grew up. That's how the economy, was strong. My mother used to always say, don't bite the hand that feeds you. And so I enjoy, not having, a Rolex watch. And when I see men in suits and Rolex watch, I'm like, man, he looks good. Like, that is, like, my man is fine. He's fine. Hello. But I don't go home saying I need to buy a Rolex watch. I'm able to, unfortunately, I come from a community in Detroit where people don't have a lot. And so instead of wearing a Rolex, I decided to help kids who are at Michigan State, pay for their education. And I enjoy that. My wife and I, a good friend of ours who's in our Breathe University, gave me free tickets to Disney World. And so Didi and I just the other day were in Orlando and we went, and he commented afterwards, he saw me and he was like, Eric, like, I'm embarrassed. I said, why are you embarrassed? He was like, yo, to think of what you've done and, what people call you in this world for you to enjoy Magic Kingdom. Like, you like a kid in the candy store. And I was like, yo, it's me and my wife by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? and our first ride was It's a Small World After All. Like, that's her favorite ride. It was just us. And I remember we got into the Peter Pan line. It was an hour. And she was like, it's an hour. What are we going to do? I said, we're going to talk. I'm not here for the rides. I'm here with you. So let's just talk. And so for me, going to Disney World was just like, that was everything for me. For somebody else, it's going on an island right now because you work for it, you grind it, you did it, and we celebrate you when you do it. But don't do what other people are doing. Like you said earlier, don't compare yourself. Enjoy your space. And guess what? You thought it was phenomenal before you compared it to anybody else. Right. You thought it was great until you started looking around and you saw what other people had. So my little house, I always say my next door neighbor, Mike, and my guy that works for me, my videographer, Carl, they live in the neighborhood. Mike and Erica are the best neighbors I've ever met in my life. Erica grew up in Grand Ledge. I think Mike was maybe Hazlitt or something. She went to Michigan State. He's a firefighter. I mean, the best neighbors you can have. We compliment each other. He cuts grass, shovels the snow for me. Does all the handiwork for me. I make sure he gets to all the games. And I said to my wife, you know, we could move, but we can't bring Erica and Mike with us. And what's better, the house or neighbors? And they've got, you know, little Aubrey and Mason. Mason's probably about 3, Aubrey's 5. Me and Mason, we do our Peter Parker thing, you know, together. And I just love getting off the road and seeing him. He's like, Eric's home, Eric's home. And Aubrey will knock on the door for Christmas. She just wanted to come and spend the day with me. And I just love my neighbors, you know, and just my life. And so I don't covet, you know, I come to California, I look around, it's like, yo, one day I'm going to have that opportunity, you know, maybe when my daughter finally finishes school. I don't know, you know, but we'll have a house, you know, maybe in Michigan, a house in LA, and we'll get to enjoy this. But now we'll take in this week or two that we're here. We'll connect with, you know, people we love and look up to, and we'll just enjoy whatever. So I'm just enjoying being with Dee Dee. I'm enjoying our little home in Grand Ledge. People see me in the grocery store like, what are you, E.T., what are you doing in Walmart? I'm like, I'm shopping like you. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing, you know, at where was I recently? I was at Dollar General. Somebody told me, you in Dollar General? I'm like, yeah, they got pens for $1. Real nice big pens for $1. So not comparing myself, not believing that because this person who's in my industry is doing this, that I have to do it. I'm enjoying walking in the grocery store. Like, yep, there are times that people do want autographs and want to take my picture or whatever, but I really just enjoy that small town right now, not having traffic, you know what I'm saying, being able to get everywhere in 10 minutes, in and out of the grocery store. And my day will come where I'm on the big stage, but I'm enjoying 600, 700 people that I can all touch, take pictures with. My day is coming for the 10,000, 20,000, the arenas, but I'm really enjoying what I have right now, and I'm not rushing to get to the 20,000, the 30,000. That will happen when it's time. So I'm just saying to you, enjoy the hand that you have, enjoy the life that you have, and if another life is to come, it will only come because you were faithful over few, and you were made to be ruled over many. But enjoy what you have, and don't compare your life to other people. You have a phenomenal, phenomenal life, and if you would just embrace it, I'm telling you, you would enjoy it a little bit more.
That's right. That's right. I love that. I love that. I think that's a strong note to wrap on.
All right.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for hanging with us. One last time to wrap up on. If you want a chance at winning the survival level of Breathe University, click the share button right here at the end, and you can spread that message around, help more community. We're going to give away 10 copies of the survival level. So in the next 28, 48 hours, 2-3 days, I'm going to jump on here and I'm going to pick a random person who clicked shared, and 10 of those people, all 10, we're going to give away copies of that. So click that share button. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. I will see you all soon. Thank you again one more time, sir.
Thank you as always.
I'm going to jump up here. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, there it is.